Whenever I was growing up, there was a word in our house that was just forbidden to say. And now that I am grown and out of the house, I can say it and shock everyone here. That word is but. But. We would, of course, me and my sister wouldn't say it because we didn't want to get beaten or anything. But whenever our friends would say it, they would use it in the context of don't be a butt. In other words, don't be an idiot. Well, in Luke chapter 9, there are three potential followers of Jesus. And the first one tells Jesus as he's walking with him, he says, I will follow you wherever you go. And Jesus replied to him and said, foxes have dens and birds of the sky have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. And the very next verse, Jesus told somebody else, follow me. It's like he replied to this guy. The guy said, I'll follow you. Jesus said, just know, I don't have a place to lay my head. The very next guy, he goes, follow me. And this person says, I will, but first, let me go and bury my father. And Jesus replied to him and said, let the dead bury the dead, but you go and spread the good news of the kingdom of God. And then a third one, Jesus said, follow me. And this person says, I will follow you, Lord, but first, let me go and say goodbye to everybody at home. Now, these are three, I hate to say it, but these are three seemingly legitimate concerns. These three people have what seems to be legitimate concerns. The first one is obviously looking for the security, the provision, the safety that a home seems to provide. And Jesus had a home. Matthew tells us that Jesus went and lived in Capernaum, not just visited, but he lived in Capernaum, a city by the sea. Apparently, Jesus liked oceanfront property just like we do. But it said he lived there, not just he visited. So we can read into that he had a home there. And we know how important homes are to God. And God promised the Israelites a land, an entire land. And Jesus talks constantly about building a house on a solid foundation. So it wasn't the home that Jesus was implying, even though dens and nests are homes, but it's that the stability of whenever you follow Jesus, even though we are taken care of, you don't know from day to day what you are going to face. So he's letting that guy know that just told him, I'll follow you wherever you go. Okay, but we don't know from one day to the next what we're going to face. And the next guy says, I'll follow you, but first, let me go and bury my father. That seems perfectly legitimate to us. If this guy's father had just passed, obviously he wants to get that taken care of, but he said, let the dead bury the dead. In other words, let the people who are spiritually dead focus on worldly things. You go and tell everybody the good news of the kingdom of God. In other words, that needs to be your focus. And the third one said, but first, let me go say bye to everybody at home. I'm going to let them know, here's where I'm going to be. I'm going to be following Jesus. Bye. Again, seems perfectly legitimate. But the problem is, all of these three had a but first. Now, what that is saying is, I'm putting the but first. I'm putting self first. They asked Jesus, but first, let me go. But first, let me go. They were asking Jesus, allow me to put my priorities above your priorities. Allow me to put the but first. And Jesus replied to both of them, you're missing the point. Your priority needs to be the kingdom of God. Matthew 6:33 says, but seek first the kingdom of God. And all these things that you worry about, they're going to get added unto you. Whenever we are seeking God first, we are putting God first, we are prioritizing God. Everything else, God knows everything we need. Everything else will get taken care of. That's His promise to us. Putting God first. When we follow Jesus, that means Jesus is going ahead of us. That means we are behind Him. Jesus first, but last. Always prioritize God and the things of His kingdom. Whatever you're faced with today, whatever you have coming up, and all these priorities, is God's kingdom your first priority, or are you trying to put the butt first? Hit that like and subscribe button. I'll see you guys soon.